Hey there fellow adventurers, I am Sunshade and today we're gonna take a look at the Mythic Ulgrax encounter in the upcoming raid Nerub'ar Palace in the War Within expansion. The raid consists of 8 total boss encounters and this is the first boss you will have to defeat. A little disclaimer, at the moment of recording this video, the raid is still in beta testing, so things may still change by the time this hits the live servers in September. This video will go through the boss mechanics, what they do, and how you can deal with them. But if you're in a rush and you just want to skip to the quick tactics, you can always use the timestamps to get there quickly. This is a 2-phase fight and you will need single target damage in the first phase and cleave in the second phase, so pick an appropriate spec which can blast the boss while also being able to deal quickly with the add phase, cause the boss is a hungry boy and he will enrage if he's not being fed. The boss will start off with full energy which will slowly decrease throughout the fight as he uses his abilities. Phase 1 will end when the boss runs out of energy. Depending on your group's preference in positioning, you can either tank him in the middle of the room and use the whole platform, or you can start off by pulling him to one of the edges, giving you a little bit more time to defeat him if you think you may run out of space by the end of the encounter. So first of all, tanking 101, turn the boss away from the group. He has a frontal cone attack, Brutal Crush, which will deal physical damage and afflict anyone standing in front with 18 applications of Tenderized, which reduces healing taken by 10%. This stacks, but every second an application will drop however, so it's not too bad on that front. This is followed by Venomous Lash, a cast dealing nature damage to the entire group and leaving behind a dot that needs to be healed through, so this is the part where healers need to have some of their cooldowns assigned. The boss will also cast Stalker's Webbing, throwing swirlies in a large area around him, which will deal damage on impact and create webs. Make sure to dodge these if you don't want to get cocooned in a hardened netting for 30 seconds. Taking damage every 2 seconds, which will be a DPS and healing loss not only for yourself but also for your fellow raiders who will have to break you out. Make sure not to walk into these webs afterwards either, just tread lightly. Now, in order to get rid of some of these webs, you will have to use the next ability in your favor. Ulgrax will cast Digestive Acid on a few players, placing a green circle on them, dealing nature damage for the next 6 seconds, and then erupting into even more damage to anyone standing within the circle, but also clearing out the webs on the floor. So spread out with these in an area you want to clear and hit as many webs as possible. This area will then be used to deal with the next mechanic of the boss, Brutal Lashings, where Ulgrax lashes himself to a random player and puts a big swirly circle on them, dealing damage every second. At the end of this pretty long cast, this will inflict a large amount of damage to all the players within the circle and pull them in, casting Carnivorous Contest, trying to devour anyone who gets within 8 yards of the boss. You will need a minimum of 6 players per circle for the boss to not enrage, and you will need 2 different groups due to the 1-minute devour buff you get from soaking. Also, the player who gets lashed should place the circle pretty far away from the boss since the pull is pretty strong, and standing in melee will probably get most of your group killed. Placing the swirly at max range worked well for us, giving us enough room to stay alive, while also allowing for some ranged attacks. What I recommend doing is split the group in 2 and take turns soaking this per phase, as the pull and damage is reduced by the number of lashed players. More players, softer pull. However, it is still a pretty strong one, so make sure you have some AoE speed abilities, teleports, blinks and gateways if you have them available. If you're simply unable to deal with this mechanic, you can also choose to use the webs in between the circle and the boss to trap yourself in order to not get gripped by the boss, or ask a priest or evoker for help maybe, but really, a roar and a gateway should be enough. He will repeat all of these abilities one more time until he runs out of energy. When that happens, he will cast Hulking Crash, leaping to the middle of the room, dealing AoE damage and pushing everyone back, so make sure you are not on the edge of the platform and that you don't have any webs right behind you. Following this, he will cast Chittering Swarm, spawning cocoons all over the platform, and then he will disappear into a portal and start charging across the platform 4 times from one portal to the next, dealing damage on impact and leaving a dot to all nearby players every time he reaches his destination portal. So healers, again, rotate your healing cooldowns here and don't forget to dodge the charges. While the boss is charging about, ravenous spawn ads will appear across the platform, and they will also be hungry, thus trying to disembowel players. Gather them up, keep them under control with stuns and similar abilities, and AoE them down quickly. When defeated, these ads will drop a chunky viscera on the floor, which you will later need to pick up and feed to the boss. On Mythic difficulty, there is also a second type of ads, the bile-soaked spawn, which will also try to disembowel players, but these cannot be CC'd. They also have bioactive spines, dealing nature damage to 8 players within 40 yards and deal 10% extra damage per volley of spines, so you will have to get them down as fast as possible. When defeated, these ads will drop a bile-soaked viscera on the floor, which will deal nature damage to the carrier and slow them by 20%, so you will want a speedy carrier for these ones. Both of the ad types also have survival instincts, meaning they are afraid of the boss and they will not go anywhere near him. So if you try to kite them closer to the boss, they will all run away in fear, dispersing in all directions. You can, however, use this to your advantage. If you can't get an ad off your back, just run closer to the boss to get rid of it. After 4 charges, the boss will emerge in the area opposite from the spot the first set of ads spawned in this phase, dealing damage to anyone nearby. He is now enraged, ready to be fed, and will refuse to move, while also taking reduced damage. He will only be pleased when his energy is back on 100%, which he gains by eating the viscera that the beetles drop on the floor. While enraged, Ulgrax will cast Hungering Bellows, dealing AoE damage and gaining stacks of insatiable rage, increasing his damage done by 10% per stack for the next 30 seconds. So feed him the beetles as soon as possible by picking up the viscera off the floor, going close to the boss, and using your extra action button to feed him. Also, make sure one of the tanks is in his face, otherwise he will eat whoever tries to feed him. Everyone in the group needs to pick up the food and take it to him to clear the phase as fast as possible, and don't forget to make use of grips, gateways, and roars. Once the boss reaches 100 energy, phase 1 will start all over again. So basically, the quick tactics for this fight would be to split your group in 2, dodge swirlies and webs, put green circles over the webs to clear them, have Team 1 stack in the first creepy white circle and not get eaten, repeat all that but with Team 2 in the creepy circle, dodge boss charges, defeat ads quickly, feed the boss. Overall, I think this is a very good first boss encounter with actual mechanics to do rather than the occasional first boss trash fights we sometimes get with a new raid. It's not overly simplistic, but not too difficult either. I hope you guys are gonna have a great time progressing this, and if the video has been helpful and you'd like to see more WoW content from this channel, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. If you have any thoughts you would like to share, drop them in the comment section below, or join the Discord linked in the video description. I also stream keys and raid progress on Twitch, so feel free to drop by and say hi once in a while. See you in the next one. Bye!